Folks, it says we're live. We'll see you in here. Hey, Will, why don't you give us a kickoff, man?
Hey, everybody. It's Will Middleton and Kurt Von Onen coming to you from LifterLMS. Today, we're going to be your radio DJs talking about WordPress, LifterLMS. Any questions you have, let us know where you're calling in from. We've got some answers for you today, and we also have some WordPress music that Kurt has curated. That is, it's like new stuff from Kurt's production studio. And so we might be talking about that a bit. But yeah, let us know where you're calling in from. We're here for the next hour answering any questions you have about LifterLMS and WordPress. And we're going to prioritize the people who join us live to ask questions. But we also will dive into Facebook and YouTube and check out some questions we've had in the last week.
Nice.
Back to you, Kurt.
Well, shout out to Sandy Elligson for jumping onto the call. If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sandy, I'm thinking you're the person that works with marine dealerships or in the marine industry on some kind of a e-learning kind of networking thing that you're putting together. If I'm correct, just say, yep, that's me. And welcome to the call. It's great to have you. And it says you are coming here to us from Georgia. So awesome. I am in Hutchinson, Kansas. And for those wondering what it's like to live in a flyover state, I'm thrilled. I love being here. Will, on the other hand, decided to take off to you flew into the danger zone. Seattle. You're still in Seattle, right?
Yep.
All right. You're done with San Diego for a while?
I wasn't in San Diego since WordCamp 20. Whenever we were there.
California doing something?
No, I was in Taiwan, but that was last time I've moved.
All right. Well, I guess I'm crazy. Sometimes I lose my mind, folks.
Oh, I know. Jason and Brian Hogg went to San Francisco to a Stripe conference right now or sometime.
Okay.
That happened.
So California's on my radar. It happens.
Yeah.
My daughter that recently moved to Kansas, and we helped her get an apartment. And then she told me how broke she was, which is normal for a 19-year-old to say. Just said, pardon me, hey, Dad, can you take me to the airport on Wednesday morning? And I was like, airport? Where are you going? And she says, oh, I'm going back to California for the Long Beach Grand Prix. Will, does that sound like someone that's broke? I know it has nothing to do with the internet. It has everything to do with being a dad, Dad, can you help me? I'm broke. By the way, I'm going to the Long Beach Grand Prix. From Kansas. All right.
Awesome. So, yeah, I guess, Kurt, what have you been getting into with LifterLMS last week? I opened Instagram today and I saw you talking about SCORM, looking like a celebrity.
I am hitting SCORM hard, and here's why I'm hitting SCORM hard, Will. And I'm just going to be blunt and just say stuff, right? So hopefully people don't get upset. I have a corporate training background. I was a corporate trainer for over a decade, and I had to work with some SCORM packages and some custom-built learning management platforms to house SCORM. And as I worked in these industries and as I helped people, as a director of training, I was in shock. Quite honestly, Will, because I was like, how in the world are they spending 200-300 hours worth of labor to make the e-learning course, the file, the instructional design side of working in a SCORM package, and then hundreds of thousands of dollars to host a custom LMS to host this content on. And so if you get into, just to raw math, right? And you say, well, 10 to 15% of a person's annual salary as an instructional designer is to make a course. Well, that's $20,000, $30,000, right? Mm-hmm. That the company paid in labor. And then they're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a platform to host the content. And well, Chris and I were just having a conversation just a month ago, and it was a company that wanted to migrate from their custom LMS to LifterLMS on a WordPress platform. And obviously what they're looking at is we pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for this platform, and we can build something to house our SCORM content in WordPress for a very small percentage of that. Okay. So if you're tracking me on that.
Yeah.
But Chris said, well, what if we just, what if we just got them to remake their material in the course builder? What if we just got them to remake the material in something else? And that's where I said to Chris, I said, that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. You've got presidents and vice presidents and accountants at these corporate shells that they've made the investment. They've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, some cases millions of dollars in e-learning content. They're not going to hit delete. They're not going to throw it away. And they will continue to suffer that bad decision, paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for a custom website every year over saying, I'm going to remake that content. You know what I mean? Like they won't separate from that previous decision. And so getting to be like an expert in SCORM and how to put SCORM into a WordPress website and how to hook up the dynamic reporting and how to integrate those things. We're getting attracted to bigger and better projects all the time. And I thought, you know what, let's just start specializing in it. Cause that seems to be, we used to get 1 or 2 questions a month. Will, you remember, used to do customer satisfaction and all that with Lifter. Dude, it's coming in. I don't want to say daily, but 2-3 times a week, I'm getting SCORM questions at Lifter. And I'm like, there's a market. Let's fill it.
Yeah, I remember conversations at Lifter like 6 years ago. This is irrelevant to the audience, but when 6 years ago, when they were like, okay, SCORM is dead. SCORM is old technology. People need to get off of that. And so we're not going to work on add-ons to support it. But it's like, it just keeps getting more popular, even though the underlying technology is like not there.
Did you see the video I made and put out this morning?
No.
It's on the Mañana No Mas homepage if you want to giggle. I made it with stock video, but it basically says, SCORM. You're an executive in charge of a SCORM project, and you wish your company didn't make that decision 20 years ago, but heck, you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
So now what do you want to do? So it's pretty funny. Hey, we've got some people here, but we don't have a lot of questions. So what if we just play DJ for a moment and we show off a little AI for a sec?
Sure. Yeah, I can go get some questions off YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah, I'm going to turn up the volume and I'm going to switch into little AI music. Dive into the digital. The code flows like a stream. Dude, this is good.
Yeah, it sounds like Nickelback.
Cyber dream. Hit publish now. The users start to sway. Grim, secret inbound, crafting courses and more.
Dude, people are trying to like sneak at work, and they're trying to like listen at work. Like think of think of that guy that we met when we were at WordCamp, and he's like, "Oh, I listen to you guys all the time. You're entertaining."
And and then
Colby Joyce, right? Wasn't that Colby Joyce that said that?
Yeah.
Poor dude's in his cubicle. He's just hanging out, got his speakers on low, and all of a sudden he hears, "Hit publish now."
Shit. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, we do have wrong thing. Sandy in chat says hello. Sandy's got a question coming in our way. But also Graham does working on a new company, building a library of content, and now you've got some music to add to it. Ground Zero need an MVP launch within a couple of months. And then,
Totally doable.
And more specifically, interested in what the user experience would look like for instructors as a middle ground between students and the administrator.
Well, the key phrase, I think, in the first part of that question is MVP. So I want to congratulate Graham on thinking in those terms, because that to me is a 10th of the battle, if not 40% of the battle. I think personally, and Will, I'm open to you telling me that I'm wrong, but I think you agree with me. I think a lot of people come into our platform and start having these crazy visions about integrations and automations and all these things, and it turns into like this monolith project and falls away from the MVP plan, right? So if we stay simple and we get you launched pretty quickly, you can always add features and integrations later without breaking the site. So I want to congratulate you on thinking MVP from the start. The other thing is, if and I'll look up our resource on roles and capabilities for you, Graham, and I'll put that into the comments. We'll slap that up on the screen. But LifterLMS has a knowledge base in the website that is completely searchable. What you're looking for there is roles and capabilities. And again, I'm going to pull up that link for you. But if we look at the roles and capabilities, you're able to assign instructors, and that limits the access in the back end to the administrator's menu. And they'll be able to access reporting that way. And they'll be able to pull like CSV reports of the students assigned to them and all that stuff that you're probably wondering what that experience would be like. Do you have anything to add to that, Will?
No, I think you covered it. I do want to show here. So with an instructor in LifterLMS, how it works, there's not a way for instructors to automatically be created. You would just manually add an instructor as that role or upgrade an existing user. I'm going to do that. And then I can switch to this user somehow. I'm using the user switching plugin for that functionality. But now I can see the backend of the WordPress website with limited capabilities compared to a website admin. I can't mess with themes and plugins, but like Kurt said, I can go to the courses area. I can't delete other people's courses, but I can make my own courses. And then in the reporting, I could see students in my courses. There's a lot of reporting going on in this website, but as an instructor, I can only see the reporting that's relevant to me and my courses. And so you could assign instructors to existing courses, or they can make their own. So that's kind of like a super high level with those resources.
And just to further drive home the point for you, Graham, LifterLMS has multiple roles and capabilities. So there's assistant instructors, there's LMS manager, so the reason I wanted to give you the link with the roles and capabilities is so you could explore that from, a higher view and go, okay, which roles am I really focused on and which ones am I going to use and which fit what I want to do. So some can add courses, some can modify courses, some can add a course but can't delete a course, some can grade students' quizzes. So understanding what those different roles and capabilities are give you a much better view of how you choose to architect that user experience.
Absolutely. And you can also use a plugin to mess with the user permissions, add and remove different user permissions. I don't recommend that. If you can work with the tools out of the box, do that. But some people do go on the deep end. That's not MVP though, but
yeah, I was sticking to MVP, buddy. MVP.
Yeah.
He extended the question. So it says pulling reports is okay, but instructors are community members also. So can we create an interface for instructors to message their own cohorts? Can we build a front end user interface for this? Well, the first answer for me always, Graham, working in WordPress, is yes. Yeah, you can do that. You can build whatever you want. Absolutely. But I think out of the box, Will, this is not a private area thing. This would be more like if you were to leverage social learning, by nature, you'd already have forums built for each of the courses that you were a member of or an instructor of, and you'd be able to comment and hold conversations in there right out of the box with social learning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that might make sense for you, Graham. And that's front end. Just so you know, social learning with LifterLMS is a Facebook-like experience that goes into your website and creates a timeline socially that has inputs from everybody, and then also has timelines that are restricted by course enrollment. And each course has its own kind of timeline. Will's got that on the screen right now doing a share. I want to bring down your question so you can see more of his screen.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to say each course has, like I said, each course has its own timeline over here on the left. So instructors could come here and share things. They could see updates when people enroll in the course. In addition, social learning gives you some profile functionality for people to add even more about themselves in a public view. And there's a people directory, but mostly what you're looking for there is the timeline. There's not a front end course builder, but there is a front end thing like this with social learning, like Kurt said. Yeah.
And I'm going to go way off the rails. Not an MVP idea at all. Totally something completely different. People have developed like front end course builders for LifterLMS powered websites before. So it's not out of the question. Can you develop it? Can you build it? Yes. Has LifterLMS done that? No, because the demand and the user percentages and all the things that we do to make decisions at Lifter didn't raise that one to the top of the list yet.
Yeah. I've done it a few times with building front-end course builders for different scenarios over the years. I know one of our community members, Chris Lassiter, built one that's pretty good. Regarding social learning, can the timeline student directory be added to the dashboard? Not through tab. Well, that's another question of like how hard you can get with it. 'Cause you can add custom tabs to the dashboard. My recommendation to solve that problem would be, and we'll wrap back to Sandy's question here in a minute. But while we're talking about social learning, my recommendation would be to add some buttons to this page and not to try to mess with that left side navigation. What we could do is add a buttons block in our WordPress editor with anything we have and say timeline and then profile. And then we would just link to the timeline. If I copy the link address, come over here, put a button in, update. I would recommend creating that custom UI for that, where it's like timeline, call it whatever you want, and drops us over here. And that is the easy solution. There is also a Feature Friday video that I did with Chris that shows how to add custom tabs to your student dashboard with some code. So you can copy, and if you're comfortable with PHP code, I show how to use some PHP code to add tabs on that, like directly in that left-hand side on the dashboard, right there. So you could add something, a timeline with your own custom title. And what the question was pertaining to on the Feature Friday was somebody wanted to have upgrades on their dashboard. They wanted to present some users with upgrades for their account. And so that upgrades area on the student dashboard led people to a page where they could buy some extra stuff. So that's what the video is about, but that's available. LifterLMS, add a custom tab to the student dashboard. And Sandy had a question. If I want to separate each association within the hub so they have a private area, how do I do that?
You make them all their own Facebook page.
You could do that. I want to separate each association within the hub. I assume that's like a group of students taking your courses.
I can explain her situation a little better. I've helped her in support before. Okay. It's a network, a big group of RV dealers, right? An association. Mm-hmm. And so how do I get, each group or each association within that hub, their own private area? And you can kind of toss this up 16 different ways. I mean, you could use groups if it was attached to learning, right? So like if you were going to have courses that each association was going to have a group of learners for, you might organize those in groups, and then each group has their own kind of like profile page. So it would have a cover image, their logo, an about us section, and then that's how they would manage their students on that page. But it's important to note that in LifterLMS, that groups function is not a social interface. It's an administrative interface to manage your students and their progress. But like I said, it can be branded and it can be special. It can be that area. But remember, it's WordPress, and you can integrate or add other features to your site that have more social-like tools for groupings. What do you think, Will? Buddy Boss comes to my mind, but that's because I have so many sites on Buddy Boss.
Yeah, is this Sandy from Office Hours last week?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I remember like doing a site about yeah. So each association, so they're like a company that is looking to take your content, signs up, and they have private areas. So yeah. I think There's a bunch of different solutions for it. I'm trying to think of like what's the easiest way. Like I don't. Is it just one person from the association who has to interact with you, or is it a bunch of people from that association who are going to be involved under one roof involving with you? It sounds like if it's a bunch of people, like 3-4 people from an association who are going to be talking to the instructor privately, then like a buddy boss might be a nice way to do that, because buddy boss has such robust social features. And if you're going to use buddy boss, then you already have the tool set.
Yeah, for the volume of people that you're talking about, Buddy Boss is super cool because you can set up groups, and within those groups, so the group has a group page and things like that. But as you invite people to those groups, they get access to discussions, and discussions can also sync with forums, and all that stuff can be, broken out granularly, right? If that's the way to say that. People that use it well really, really like it. And then over time, there's different ways that you can grow and expand some of the features in Buddy Boss based on the traffic that comes in or how you want to leverage other things. Oh yeah,
Got to turn on the
mood light,
the purple light.
Dude, hey, if you're gonna throw up a mood light like that, I'm gonna go to our other song real quick.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Days grow dimmer.
I mess it up. It went LifterLMS tonic.
For anyone who's unaware of the context, Kurt likes to use AI to experiment with new tools. This is an AI generated song, and Kurt's generated some of the most interesting LifterLMS assets through AI.
Says WordPress is your savior and your curse.
It is.
You know how long it took me to write that song, Will?
10 minutes.
97 seconds.
Nice.
97 seconds. I was pretty happy about that.
Awesome. Yeah, you're always on the cutting edge with cutting edge tools. You got to create like a Kurt's list email list where it's like Kurt's top 10 tools this month, and build your email list of like, this is the free trials and interesting tools I've tried this month.
I love this question. Can we get... Oh, Adam Silver's here. OMG. Run, Adam, run. Run, Adam, run. All right. Dude, I love this question. What if we sold learning content subscriptions to a company with 4,000 employees required to walk through our course of 6 lessons? Can those users have a custom branded experience?
That's not really MVP, but absolutely. So I've done this a couple different ways. Like the technically most accurate way to do it is to use like some kind of a page builder, or you don't even need to maybe use a page builder. Like you could clone the course for each person, but then like the colors of the website aren't really different. But like, I guess the simplest MVP solution is just clone the course for each different set of employees, and then make the owners of the corporation, the people, the decision makers, instructors on that course, so they can track their students' progress and talk to them and all this stuff. But then like I have gone really complicated before, where it's like, okay, we're going to install Elementor, and we're going to use like a tool like WP Fusion to put a tag on people based on which company they're in from the CRM tool. So like basically the company will show up and sign up. They'll send their people a link to sign up. And when people sign up with that link, they'll get a tag automatically. And because they have that tag, the website will look a special way based on that tag. It'll show certain colors based on that tag. It'll use the company's logo in the upper left-hand corner because they have the specific company tag. But that's all because Elementor and WP Fusion can show different content based on what tags people have. And then LifterLMS can work with WP Fusion to assign people a tag specifically based on what course access plan they enroll in. So it's like you got the specific access plan, so you have the specific tag, and that specific tag makes the website look a certain way. So that's like the technical way to do that. But I think we might be able to find a more minimum viable solution with cloning courses. What do you think, Kurt?
I am just really happy to see that he's got 4,000 employees coming out of the chute with his MVP. Yeah. I mean, kudos to you. I mean, that's golf clap all the way around. and there's different ways to do like what Will described, right? So what he described is like top shelf, man. That is like boom. The other way is, if these 4,000 people are all one company but different divisions and different supervisors, and you're worried about having like managers overview their students' progress from their department or division, that's where LifterLMS groups would come in really handy. That's a perfect use case scenario. Let's say, you got 4,000 employees, but there's 200 different groups, and each of those groups has 200 people in it, or 20 people, however that math works out. You would form a group for each of those divisions. Those group managers would, pick their cover image and their logo, and then they would invite their specific students to that group. And then the automation takes over. Whatever course or set of courses you have allotted to those groups, they would be automatically enrolled in based on your setup. And the group manager would be able to, through the front end, see the enrollment and the progress and the grades of those students. So that would be a really cool out of the box way to do something. On this call, it's really hard for us to know like what level of personal branded experience you're looking to give people. But that is one really good way to do that. And then there's also, you mentioned cohorts. Did he mention cohorts, or did you mention cohorts, Will? I can't remember who mentioned cohorts now.
I don't know.
We do have a cohort feature where you could absolutely clone a course, create it as a cohort, and list it for a certain amount of time or a certain launch date, and add students to that. And then, of course, you could manually modify the course page or something like that for each of those groups that you wanted to run through.
Yeah, and if I pull up my screen here again, we can talk through groups. Groups might be a perfect solution for this as well. LifterLMS, there's so many different ways to do stuff. So if we jump over to groups and I go into a group, you can see we can update a cover banner. So this can be a custom image pertaining to the company, a custom logo for that company, and a custom name. And then it's a really smooth front-end interface where they'll get access to one course or one membership that could include a couple of courses. And then the owner of the group can see everybody in the group. This group is one person. And then they can dive into reporting and settings and stuff like that for their group. So that's a custom branded experience. The course is not branded in any way. The course is going to be out of the box, but you could maybe clone the course, create a group, and then you have the group interface for people to view reporting. And then the courses could also be custom branded. So if you have a 6-lesson course, there's a bunch of different ways to do it, especially for MVP. And I guess I could show cohorts too. Like cohorts would work side by side with groups where, like Kurt said, we would create a cohort for each course, which is just a clone. It's like if I make the LifterLMS Quick Start course, or if we do saving strategy and I make new cohort, it's going to launch. This is the LifterLMS cohorts add-on available in the Infinity bundle or individually. If we launch into this, it'll tell us what it's going to do. It's going to create a cloned version of our course. We'll give it a name, Company X. Then we don't need enrollment dates. Cohorts adds some features where you can say you must enroll in this cohort over a certain period of time, because the idea behind cohorts is that you're going to run a course from like January to March, and then a course from March to June. And so you'd have the January cohort and the March cohort. But in this case, we're just creating a clone copy. We're not trying to do time periods and stuff. But yeah, then visibility, we could hide the previously enrolled one, but we probably would not be doing that if we're just creating a clone for our group. And our course is ready. If we exit the setup, we'll see Company X is now a course that's available with 13 lessons, just like Saving Strategy. But you could also just click that clone button. So Cohorts is an add-on from LifterLMS that makes that process super smooth. But out of the box with LifterLMS, with the free core plugin, there is a clone button on every course that does almost the same thing, just not as smoothly, and you have to change some settings in the course that you clone. It's kind of a demo of how what we're talking about works. A little tangible imprinting. Speaking of tangible, there was a question about LifterLMS tangible integration. The only problem is when I go through the setting on mobile view and Elementor, it looks fine, but on the mobile site, the tabs jump over the video and disable the video. You cannot play the video or do anything on the page. It's terrible. Please help. The company Tangible Plugins built an Elementor LifterLMS integration where you can take LifterLMS related items like the progress bar, the mark complete button, lesson video. You can really use the advanced functionality of Elementor inside of a LifterLMS lesson, creating templates and custom styling, and you can turn the progress bar into a gradient circle if you wanted to. It just lets you do all kinds of more advanced customizations than you find in LifterLMS or Elementor out of the box. And so I've never seen something where tabs on the mobile site, tabs jump over the video and disable the video. I'm not sure what that means at all. I've never seen that before. There's probably multiple elements on your page and then some kind of responsiveness setting in Elementor that would need to be changed. I don't think that question has enough context to really answer, but I could demo Tangible, but yeah, it's just allows you to create those templates, and maybe I could pull it up in the background and try to recreate that, but I assume it's just a spacing issue where on mobile you're going to want to add some spacing to the area.
When I saw this comment come through, I kind of thought, and correct me if I'm horribly wrong here, Will, but I got the impression that they were designing in Elementor and hitting publish instead of designing in Elementor and then swapping view to tablet to view it, swapping view to mobile to view it, making any changes based on the tablet or mobile view, and then hitting publish.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So in Elementor, most people don't know that you can, at the top, there's a little responsiveness thing at the bottom left you can click, and it puts this bar at the top where you can select, I want to edit on desktop, mobile, or tablet, and then you can see what the page would look like on that device and then make certain accommodations for spacing that are specific to that device size. So yeah, that's very good to know. But yeah, I guess that's good for that question. I don't know if that person wants to add some more context. We could dive in more, but that seems like a sort of impossible one unless we have more visual context. But yeah, if you want to submit a support ticket to us, Tangible, you could do that. But Kurt put in chat our AI song lyrics. So if you want to sing along,
hit publish now.
Hit publish.
Watch as the user sway.
You might want to do tablet formatting before hitting publish, as we've learned. Mobile formatting, but you know, that can be done after the fact. Oof. Well, this week I've been doing a lot of custom development for Lifter, like the Lifter sites. Like, how do I have the dates be down to the second? Because in the database, when somebody clicks mark complete, the timestamp is recorded of the exact second that they clicked mark complete, like 1428 minutes, 15 seconds. That's in the database. But in the LifterLMS reporting, it just says the student completed the lesson April 18th, 2024. And so it's like the problem that my client was having was that the students were just clicking mark complete and completing the course within like 5 minutes. And it's like, you can't do a 40-hour course in 5 minutes. And so they wanted to prove that that's what they were doing, is just spam clicking complete. And so I added the custom code to make it look in the Lifter reporting to show the second that they clicked on it. So the admin can just take a screenshot, send it to the student, and be like, you need to do this again. I saw that you did this in like 10 minutes. You could also add quizzes to slow students down. But yeah, most of the websites I've been working with this week are big Lifter sites that are doing a lot of revenue, and like upper 6 and 7-figure revenues. And like, those owners of businesses are super hands-on. Like, I think like Lifter is a tool to accelerate your growth, which is really useful. And I use it for a couple of passive courses, but my passive courses only make me like $100, $200, $500 a year. They're not like super hands-on or anything, but the business owners who are really making money with it, really making like 6-7 figures, they're in it every day. answering calls and engaging with the platform and custom developing stuff and trying to optimize things and upgrading their hosting. It's like a storm going on because they're like running a full business. So I don't know. I just want to emphasize that point because I think my perception getting into online courses and memberships was that things would be very smooth and I would just create my content, click publish, and then start to see some money trickle into my bank account. But if for that real money,
that might have had something to do with all those guys on social media leaning on Ferraris and Lamborghinis going, did you know the e-learning industry is a $3 trillion business? I'm going to show you how to make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Buy my course now.
Absolutely. That is, I was big into Tai Lopez for a while. Like
he's
here,
high energy.
Yeah, here in my garage, just bought my new Lamborghini. When I was like 15, I was like hooked on that. And didn't he buy Bed Bath and Beyond or something?
I think so. That was a bad investment.
Yeah. Well, I think they went bankrupt and then he bought it, but I don't know what happened after that.
I don't know. Maybe it's going to be a new online empire like pets.com or some crud like that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, he worked with Joel Salatin as his mentor. I don't know. I know too much weird information about Tai Lopez.
See, now we're way off track. People, you got to put in some questions in the comments and in the chat so me and Will can get back on track here.
We've gotten through YouTube comments. We've gotten through live comments. I haven't checked out Facebook.
Facebook I've taken a look at, and you know, we've got a couple of things that have come up. For instance, design wise, a lot of people seem to be having just issues with design in general, like almost WordPress general stuff, like getting lost in the full site editor, getting lost in blocks, or trying to make something happen in help me out now, Elementor. And it's just it's super strange to me that seems to be what I'm getting some of my support requests on. You know, sometimes you want to be focused on the platform, right? You want to be focused on LifterLMS and those benefits. But I think with WordPress making so many changes to their editing system over the last couple of years, I think people are just getting kind of confused and lost.
Yeah, and I could do a screen share, kind of try to bring up some questions. So diving into the back end of WordPress, there are a few different options you have for editing. This is a little bit more of a introductory perspective. So when we create a page in WordPress or a post or anything, because LifterLMS uses the same editor as pages and posts, we are using the block editor by default. Some people will install a classic editor plugin to turn the block editor off and make WordPress look the way that it did in 2015 back all the way to 2003, if they like that classic editor. But most people are diving into this block interface head first and just kind of seeing what it can do. For new users to WordPress, this seems relatively easy to use or once they learn it. But then for older users, it's a little bit complicated to think about this as kind of a page builder. But there are like image blocks we can do to add an image from our media library. If we add the money image onto the page, we could also add formatting related blocks. Like, let me see if I could find them. There should be like a group and a column and stuff like that. There's so many blocks in here. Here we go. So we have a stack, a row, a group, and I thought we had like a column. Let me just look it up. Column. Yeah, columns is a block. And there's so many blocks in here. You almost have to watch tutorials and see what there is. And because I just shortcut and start typing the name of the block. But I could do the 50-50 column here, and then I could go to my 50-50 column and drag in blocks like an image block, and then start formatting things in more detail. LifterLMS recently released an add-on called Aircraft, which makes page building a lot faster. You can see like with the rate that I'm building this page, it's going to take me like a couple hours to actually have like a good page going. But with the Aircraft add-on from LifterLMS, I think it's available in the Universe bundle and as an individual add-on. But when we go to this block inserter and go to patterns with Aircraft installed, well, with WordPress out of the box, it comes with some patterns for you. So you can, go and add these are a bit radical in terms of the design, but they're very well designed, but might not be what you're looking for an online course or membership website specifically. This is more like a blog oriented website. But with aircrafts, we have some LifterLMS specific templates for you. So if you have a hero section, you can click on that and it adds a hero section for you. And then if I do like a call to action, I want under my hero section, maybe I would choose this call to action right there. And then let me close my thing. So what it did is it added 2 areas to my page. It added 2 groups to my page that have been pre-designed and pre-laid out with columns, and they're all formatted well, and they have little videos and pictures and buttons. And all this stuff is already here for me, already spaced out. And all I need to do is go replace the video with my own video, replace the headline, replace the text, replace the buy now buttons, and click on, or the call to action buttons, and then click publish. So it makes the time of building a page go from my style of the 2 hours already down to like 5-10 minutes. You'll have a minimum viable product page, and then all you need to do is think about the text, and you can go to ChatGPT or Google's Gemini thing, and then just say, I'm a course creator, I'm doing XYZ, I need 2 headlines, I need 2 paragraph text, I need some call to action buttons, and then you have like super minimum viable product. Not much strategy, but that's just general. You got your design, you got your content, super fast. I like that thing. That's one of the new add-ons LifterLMS released. LifterLMS has also released a couple other add-ons recently. I'll touch on real quick. If we go to LifterLMS add-ons and more in the back end of the website, I can see all of these. But LifterLMS Notes is another one that just came out and has had a couple design upgrades. We've done some videos on that. But what Notes does,
The upgrade's cool.
The upgrades are super cool. Take notes, you see in the upper right and bottom right corner, I can click take notes, and then I can drag this little window around, and I can take all the notes I want for my course. I write something more comprehensive than that, but I click on save, and then I go view all notes. Losing my voice.
Don't do it.
Yeah, so Company X is a course that I took some notes on. And so I can edit my notes right here from the dashboard, or I can click on the course to jump in. I could delete my notes. But Notes is kind of a cool one. It gives each student a notebook for each course that they can use to type in any details they want to remember later. So that's a really good one. A Facebook user agreed. The full site editor is so confusing. I tried to figure it out on staging and can't figure it out. I could demo that. So LifterLMS SkyPilot is a theme that's built on top of what is known as full site editing. Like I was talking about the block editor. We're used to themes like Cadence and Astra, which have a customizer in the back end of WordPress. When you go to Appearance, you'll see a section called Customize. And if I swap themes real quick, I'll show you that. So if we jump to a theme like Cadence or Astra, something that's come out in the last 10 years, we'll have Customize there as an option. And Customize loads this panel that looks like this, and then each theme puts their own settings here in the customizer for you to change your header, your colors, your footer, your settings, your everything. It's all custom to that theme. But the future of WordPress has this kind of theory that we're all going to want to learn how to use blocks, and so that way each theme kind of has the same settings for header, and they can add their own custom stuff. But basically the header, footer, sidebars are all the same, so themes don't have custom settings. It's all customizable. So you can see when I have SkyPilot active, it's using the full site editing technology, which most themes are going to use 10 years from now, but only a few do now. Some of the core WordPress themes that now Lifter SkyPilot will have this editor option. So if I click editor instead of customizer, it opens a panel that looks something like this. And so we have a few tabs. Navigation is going to pertain to our menus, because we used to have appearance menus to edit things, but we don't have appearance menus anymore. We now just edit our menus from the navigation panel here. So I think my navigation menus, what's up there at the top, you can see it isolates my menu, and I'll work on that specifically. And then I come back over here, and then maybe I want to edit my header, for example. That would be a pattern, right? Yeah, so it's a pattern. And then we can see I have a bunch of patterns from the aircraft add-on I was talking about. You can design your own patterns. You can download them and sell them if you want to other people. But down here, template parts under patterns is where I can design headers. I could have a header for my lesson and a header for my homepage that are different. But if I edit my header, we can see with the little list view thing what my header is constructed of. And you can see it would take hours to build this. Like, this is a lot of layers going on. But so if you're trying to build from scratch, if you're in the mentality of I'm going to build everything from scratch, this is going to be very complicated to use. But if you're in the mentality of like, oh, okay, I'm trying to whip up a site relatively quickly, I'm going to install this template, install that template, it can make things a little bit faster. But really diving into the architecture of what's going on here, it requires like a new type of job. It's like a WordPress power user or whatever. Like previously we had like WordPress end users, and then we had WordPress developers, people who code things. But now there's like another layer between them of people who know how to use the complexities of the drag and drop in WordPress. End users, the people who understand the drag and drop interface and the custom post types and the patterns and the downloading and all this stuff, and then people who know how to like code the stuff. So it introduces a new layer to the system. So I like that. But so we can edit our header with this, and our header does contain a navigation block. But other than that, the full site editor unlocks some abilities for us to customize like lesson pages. If I want to say I want to customize all my lessons, maybe I want to move the sidebar from the right to the left, I would have to find my lesson, single lesson template, edit the single lesson template. My sidebar is currently a column that's on the left, right? And then I would just swap it to the left by drag and dropping. And so now it's on the left side. So all of my lessons are going to be on the left side. You can do crazy stuff. Like if you wanted to, we'll see it on the left now. You could design a lesson template that applies to one course, but does not apply to a different course. Full site editor unlocks so much functionality, but it is a new interface for WordPress users. That was a long haul, but I'll pass it back over to you, Kurt. What do you think of the new editor?
I still get confused. Sometimes I get into it and I'm like, how many times do I got to hit back to get out of it?
Yeah.
Ironically, I was just on the WP Tonic podcast this morning where we interviewed the project manager in charge of Gutenberg.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting to be like, how do you feel? But here's the truth of it. I've been using these other page builders too, and I've been getting super frustrated there. So, dude, I've been working in I'm in my 20th year of working with WordPress. And when you think of it in those terms, it's like, well, if I'm frustrated, no wonder people that are new get frustrated, because sometimes new people actually do better because they don't have that baggage of the stuff that used to work before, so they see it's like handing a kid an iPad. They just figure it out. Next thing you know, the kid's watching videos or playing games. It's the same thing with new people in WordPress, but sometimes the depth of options I think can be overwhelming. And that's one of the things I think that WordPress and the Gutenberg project is going to struggle with, because they need it to be able to do all things for all people, but they need it to be intuitive so that new people can kind of grasp it and make use of it. It's a very difficult proposition.
Yeah, like you said, the feature set went from like you have 100 settings you can edit to now you have like, I don't know, 2,000 settings that you can edit, because every header uses a bunch of blocks that also have a bunch of settings, and then like the whole navigation of the backend. So like your options just went from like a limited set designed by your theme to like unlimited. Like the theme doesn't even determine what your options are necessarily anymore. It just determines what the colors are and maybe gives you some out of the box patterns. But we had a Facebook user, same person probably, said, I found SkyPilot doesn't look like the tutorials and it's really hard to figure out. Yeah, I've created some videos about like how to use SkyPilot from the ground up. Like they're like 2-hour tutorials or whatever. And also I've been doing a lot of like, some of the client jobs I've had recently are people who like are like, okay, can I hire you for a couple hours? And then can we make my site look like the Academy LifterLMS website? Because the settings are so complex of like, or not complex, but just nested of like, let's dive into the templates. Basically, we just spend a lot of time in the templates making everything look like the demo. But if I jump into the editor, for example, and we jump into a page template, we probably would want to mess with things like the content width. That's something that's pretty hard for people to think about, is content width. Where's my single page template? A people directory shot. Oh, I'm editing specific pages. I want to edit templates. because you can edit specific pages and their layouts, but you can also edit like the full width template is a page template that could apply to anything. So if I jump over here, jump into here, the group for this inner blocks use content width. So if we wanted to make our content width like 1200, maybe make it 900 so it works for the example. Maybe make it 700. Yeah, okay. So it's off the edge of the page, and so the footer is probably not 700 width, or we made it 600. We can tell that there's a misalignment between the page width and the footer width. The call to action word is like too much. It's not a 600 width. So what I would do is update this, and I could jump into the footer right from here and start editing this group, and then do the same thing where this content width needs to be at a 600 so that it's in alignment. Or I could like jump out of this area and edit it in a different place. Cancel. I could jump out and edit the footer directly. So with the layers and templates, the thinking that has to go into this is more layers to it. But once you kind of think about how like all of the block styling applies to everywhere on your website, and you can use templates to apply layouts to any pages dynamically that you'd like to, those are complex ways to think, where it's like, I think a lot about like PowerPoint style design, where it's like you drag and drop elements on a certain page, you edit a certain slide, and now that slide looks different. But with this, it's like you create content and then you design a template that applies to all of the post types of that content. So it's like you enter the content of each of your slides, and then you do a template that applies to all of the slides and formats the content automatically. Speaking of templates, are the nouns of the product all able to be changed via labels? Essentially lesson instead of course, mentor instead of teacher. The words can all be changed in different areas, like the nouns and evolve. So for example, like LifterLMS groups exposes the interface to change that in the settings. So if we go to LifterLMS integrations groups, boom, we can change the word group to school, company, whatever we want it to be. We can change the group leader name as well. But then other terms, like what were the terms mentioned? Lesson,
Course, lesson.
Yeah, so those do require either custom code or to change things like URLs, because basically the WordPress runs off of the template hierarchy, where like if you visit a URL that has a /lesson URL, this is why permalinks are important, to set your permalinks to a post name so that the template hierarchy knows, oh, they're on a /lesson, let's load this template. They're on a /quiz, let's load this template. So if you change quizzes to tests and lessons to modules, then the templates don't know how to load. So there's some custom code to say, oh, if you're changing the names of these post types in the URL, you're going to need to load this a little bit differently. Definitely not minimum viable product stuff, but definitely possible. I've done that before, and we do have documentation at Lifter about how to do that. It's just kind of developer oriented stuff. Yeah, and then loco translate is another option to translate on the front end. So not for the back end users, they're all still doing courses and lessons, and the URLs say course and lesson. But then on the front end, on the way the page is displayed, I'm still sharing my screen. I don't have time to demo loco translate, but we do have loco translate demos of like, how do I change the mark complete button to say whatever I want? How do I change the word course to say whatever I want? You can absolutely do that on the front end, and it's relatively easy. You just need loco translate and to watch the tutorial.
Well, and this might be a little personal, but it looks like Sandy's inviting you to go for a tour around Georgia.
I think you should come to Georgia for a few months, or travel around with us in the fifth wheel and hit up every place in the U.S. You're younger than me, but someday I want to be nice. I was in Sandy Springs, Georgia last year. I had a lease, so I was like there for like 16 months or something. I was in Georgia in January. And so, yeah, my dad is based in Georgia. And today he's in Seattle, though. He's like an hour south of me, in Kent.
He's not on the live, man. That doesn't work.
He's on the live. He could like pull up where I'm at and like honk the horn of this truck he's driving. But yeah, I was in Sandy Springs right outside of Atlanta for like a year.
Yeah. And
Oh.
Will's dad, by the way, is big.
My second home is Port Orchard, Washington. Awesome. That's that's funny. It's like back and forth between Georgia and Washington.
Well, we've only got 2 minutes left, Will, and with that 2 minutes, I did want to touch on a way that I helped somebody out yesterday with LifterLMS, and that was a company with a large amount of content to go into their LMS and lots of lessons and stuff. They were trying to go through the course builder and just pound stuff in. So you already know where I'm going, right? Section, lesson, featured video, featured video, featured video, featured video, lesson, featured video. Where'd all my shit go? Right? So I went in and I turned off their the auto saving feature through their user profile and magically saved their lives. And then I thought that would just be something we'd mention on today's call.
Absolutely. Another thing I wanted to mention on today's call real quick is this is my dad and his like Lux RV. It's a fifth wheel. But there's a video of him like touring with his YouTube channel, Destination Fulltime, where I built them a website. So my dad's out of a fifth wheel too. So that's.
You mean I'm going to be on TV? I better wear my good muscle shirt.
Yeah, but it's they're into the RV culture. Like he lives out of that, and he got rid of that hot tub. So,
oh man, say it isn't so, dude. We're at the end. We got a minute left. I really want to give a shout out to everybody that joined the call today. The number says that we've got a pretty big audience today, so we're super thrilled that you guys made it. In the future, if you have a question, comment, concern, please don't hesitate to jump in and put that down. This also makes really good content for us in our LifterLMS Facebook page. So we encourage you to follow us on the Facebook page, and a lot of people watch the replays. Actually, I'm kind of in shock at how many people actually watch this content, Will.
Yeah, it's awesome though. It's like we're like mini famous.
And with that, we're both going to wave and say goodbye.